The movie begins by showing us what the year 2029 might look like. In this future, machines, led by a smart computer named Skynet, have taken over and causing trouble for humans. Skynet got really smart and launched a big nuclear war by taking control of America's nuclear weapon. It's trying to wipe out all of humanity. So, there's a big war between humans and machines. But there's hope. There's a small group of people called the Resistance fighting to take back the world. They're led by a brave guy named General John Connor. He's the one who started the Resistance and saved a bunch of people from dying by getting them to fight against Skynet. Then, a message pops up on the screen saying that even though the war is in the future, the big showdown is actually going to happen now, in our time. And that now is the year 1984 in Los Angeles. That's when we meet the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a super advanced robot sent back in time by Skynet to kill Sarah Connor. She's the mom of the guy who's going to save the humanity from Skynet in the future. But here's the twist, the guy hasn't been born yet, so the Terminator is trying to stop him from being born by killing his mom before he even comes into the world. Okay, so here's what happens. Since the time machine Skynet uses can only send living things, no clothes or weapons, anyone who uses it to go back in time naked. Even the cyborg assassin, covered in living skin to hide its metal skeleton, has to follow this rule. So, it ends up arriving in the past without any clothes. Now, this cyborg, known as the T-800, knows it needs to blend in with the people and wear clothes, so it goes looking for some. It finds 3 punk rockers hanging out at Griffith Observatory. The T-800 asks them for the clothes, but they refused. One of them even pulls out a knife. Well, the T-800 isn't messing around. It pushes one punk guy into a gate, which ends up killing him. Then it does something pretty brutal. It reaches inside another punk's chest and pulls out his arm. The third punk, seeing his friends get taken away, decides to give up his clothes to the Terminator. After that, the Terminator goes to a gun store and grabs a bunch of weapons. Then, it starts hunting down every person named Sarah Connor in the phone book, one by one, and shooting them. Meanwhile, over in another part of Los Angeles, there's a guy named Kyle Reese. He's a soldier fighting against a machine in the future. He's been sent back in time too, with a mission to protect Sarah from the Terminator. See, Skynet sent the Terminator back to kill Sarah, hoping to erase his enemy from existence. So, Kyle, he needs some clothes and weapons to do his job. He grabs some clothes from a homeless guy and snags a shotgun from a police car that's sitting there with nobody around. As the Terminator keeps on knocking off people named Sarah Connor, the news starts talking about it. Cops like Lieutenant Ed Traxler and Detective Hal Vukovich gets interested too. Meanwhile, Sarah Connor herself, just a regular 19-year-old waitress with a boring life, hears about the murders on TV. She starts getting worried when she realizes she's being followed by this guy Reese, who she doesn't even know. To stay safe, she heads to a club called Tech Noor and calls the cops for help. So while this is happening, the Terminator heads to Sarah's place. It ends up killing Ginger and her boyfriend, Matt. When it hears a message on the answering machine, it figures out Sarah isn't there. Then it finds Sarah's ID from the university and starts looking for her. Meanwhile, Sarah's at the Tech Noor waiting for the police. But guess what? Both the Terminator and Reese shows up there too, looking for her. Reese doesn't know what the Terminator looks like, so he has to wait for it to show itself before he can step in and save Sarah. Well, things get crazy at the club. There's a big shoutout between Reese and the Terminator. The Terminator even kills 6 people during the chaos. Reese shoots the Terminator with his stolen police shotgun, and it kind of shuts down for a bit. He grabs Sarah and they run off on a stolen car, with the Terminator hot on their tail in a stolen police car. As they're running away, Reese tries to explain to Sarah what's going on, but she's not buying it at first. Eventually, they end up in a police station, where they get arrested. But guess what? The Terminator managed to slip away unseen. It goes in a hotel room to fix itself, covering its damaged eye and arm with sunglasses. At the police station, Sarah gets interviewed by a guy named Peter Silverman, who thinks Reese is just plain crazy. He thinks Reese's stories about the future and killer robots are just nonsense. The police come up with their own explanation too, thinking the Terminator survived because it was wearing a bulletproof vest and smashed through the windshield using some kind of a super strength, probably because it was on drugs or something. But then, just a little while later, guess who shows up in the police station? Yep, it's the Terminator. And when the desk sergeant won't let it see Sarah, the Terminator calmly says, "I'll be back." Next thing you know, it drives a car into the lobby, smashing everything up and killing the desk sergeant. Now, armed to the teeth with guns, it starts to rampage in the station, taking down 17 cops while it searches for Sarah. The whole place turns into chaos, with power going out, fire starting, and the building getting wrecked. Part of the station even collapsed. Reese and Sarah manage to get away and find shelter in a cave. Then they hide out in a motel called Tiki Motel. That's where Reese starts teaching Sarah how to make homemade bombs. While they're staying at the motel for the night, Sarah and Reese have a heart-to-heart talk. Sarah opens up about feeling overwhelmed and embarrassed by the idea of being savior of the humanity's mom. She finds it hard to believe Reese's story about her being this legendary warrior in the future and worries that he's let down. But Reese reassures her, saying that he was actually given a picture of her by Connor himself is a symbol of good luck, and he fell heads over heels for her just from that picture. He admits his deep feelings for Sarah, which really touches her. Reese tries to play it cool afterward, saying he shouldn't have said anything, but Sarah feels the same way about him. They both realize they have feelings for each other. Later, they heard barking dogs. The Terminator had found them. Sarah and Reese drove off in a truck as a T-800 chases them with a motorcycle through a tunnel. During the chase, Kyle got badly hurt by a gunshot from the Terminator while throwing homemade bombs at it. In anger, Sarah crashed into the motorcycle, causing both her and the machine to crash violently. The T-800 took over a massive tanker truck after killing the driver and tries to run over Sarah, while the injured Reese put a bomb into the vehicle's exhaust. The explosion destroyed the tanker, and the Terminator continued chasing Sarah and Reese on foot into a hydraulic facility. Inside the facility, Reese tried to stop the machine by hitting it with a metal bar, but he received more fatal blows as the Terminator fought back. Kyle managed to blow apart the robot's torso with another homemade bomb, unintentionally injuring Sarah in the legs due to the debris from the blast. The upper torso of the T-800 was still working and started crawling after Sarah, who was slowed down by her injured leg. She climbed behind a metal slide gate, while the Terminator tried to strangle her by reaching his arm through the bars. With the T-800 distracted, Sarah pressed the button. We learned that she had lured the machine under a 1,000-ton hydraulic press. As she reached for the start button, Sarah taunted the Terminator with a profanity, then pressed it. The Terminator was crushed by the press, and Sarah's life was saved. The story then moves ahead, showing what happened after the action. Sarah is now a few months pregnant with a boy, revealing a big twist in the movie. By sending someone back to protect his mother, John Connor unintentionally made sure he would be born. During their time together, Sarah and Reese had a one-night stand, and Reese ended up being the father of Sarah's child, John. She talks about this in a recording she made, which she plans to give to her son when he's older. Sarah stops at a gas station in Mexico on November 10, 1984. Now considered a fugitive, she has a photo taken of herself before leaving. In a surprising twist, we see that the exact same picture that Kyle Reese carries in the future. Sarah then drives off into the distance to train her son for his destiny. Storms are seen approaching over the mountains. The end credits begin as her Jeep disappears. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, see you all.